time, haven't you?
I've helped off and on, yep, through the years.
And I'm a newbie here. I've only been here less than 2 years, but when they first started, Westwinds partnered with them then to get it off the ground, didn't we?
We did, yep. They did a lot of praying, and they helped financially support Wendy, probably for about the first 10 years.
Wow. Well, one of the things that we're excited about is a part of this ministry, and you'll hear more about Together We Can Make a Difference. It's right in downtown Jackson. Wendy White is the executive director, and she has such a vision for so many things. But one of those things is their priceless gift toy store at Christmas time. Tell us about that.
Wendy started it to help children that might not have such a great Christmas, and they've set it up that they collect toys, used, gently used. They refurbish. They collect a lot of different items, and they set it all up just like a regular store. So then the parents may go in and shop for their kids just like they would in a normal store.
And you told me a few weeks ago how many kids were served last Christmas. What was it?
It was over 4,000.
Over 4,000 kids who probably would not have had any Christmas gifts, but they were able to do that. Now, you'll hear about that. I think that's going on at is it the Westwood Mall?
It's at the Westwood Mall.
You can go make donations there. But what we're doing here at Westwinds to kind of facilitate part of it is Cheryl was talking to Wendy saying, what is one of the biggest needs through this? And one of the things is a lot of people get excited about giving the toys and things, but coats, winter coats for the kids and their parents. So starting next week and the next 3 Sundays right here at Westwinds, we're going to collect coats. Tell us about that.
It's mostly for the kids. They do collect adult-sized coats because your kids range in all different sizes.
Yeah, that's true.
And so they can ask for gently used or new. If you have a coat that might have a broken zipper, but the coat is still good, they have ladies who will fix the zippers and replace them. And she's just hoping to be able to give each child a coat this year.
Oh, that'd be great. So in the next 3 Sundays, if you want to drop it off at Westwinds, we'll be here, and good. I like the way you put it. Gently used coats, not something you'd throw away, but something you're saying, man, I haven't been wearing that, but it's in good shape, and someone could get you good use out of that. I've got one I'm thinking of right now in my closet, and so we'd be happy to collect those. We'll have a place right in our lobby. Another thing that we do at the Justice Task Force that I want to remind people of is that we help facilitate hospital visitation in our church and our community. So for example, maybe you're going to be going in for a surgery, or maybe you have a loved one who's in the hospital, and they could just use someone to come by and visit them and maybe have prayer with them if they'd like. You can contact us at westwinds.org/care. No, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. You can contact us at care@westwinds.org. care@westwinds.org. And we'll contact you and contact the person that you're bringing to us, and we won't drop it on anybody in surprise or anything like that. We'll make sure that they're good with that. But whether they're in the hospital or maybe they're in a care facility and they just don't get many visits. We have one person in the care facility right now that gets a weekly visit from our team. Or maybe it's someone in their own home that they just do not have the mobility that they can get out, and especially with the, it's going to get dark at 5:30 today, and it's going to get cold. So even those things as well. So we'd just love to serve that person in any way we can. And the task force is just a bunch of great people.
It is.
Who really care.
It is. It's a great group of people. Very passionate.
Very passionate, and we're excited about this. So we wanted to tell you about that today. Today, Pastor Cory is going to be talking about prayer, and I'm very excited about this message because he's talking about it in a way that applies to everyone's life, no matter where you're at on your spiritual journey, and I think you're going to really enjoy it a lot. So we're all about less than a minute away from the start of our service. Thank you, Cheryl.
You're welcome.
I appreciate.
I'm glad I could help.
I not only appreciate these moments, but I appreciate all you do here, and your passion for the kids and your passion for our community. I really appreciate it. So thanks very much for being with us, and join us in worship. Thank you. Good job.
Yeah.
God was in it. God is already here. He is so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. And we just want to open ourselves up for God to do what He wants to do in us this morning, yeah? So we're going to keep singing and keep lifting ourselves to God. That's our prayer this morning, that you would find us surrendered and open and pursuing you and asking you to be with us and to guide us and to fill us and to give us wisdom for all the things that are pulling us in opposite directions and all the things that we feel anxiety over and stress over, Lord. We just want to let go of that right now. We want to ask that you, already being here waiting for us and looking to walk us on a journey this morning that is a joy and unlike anything that we could ever put words to if we really just stop and sit in your blessings. To know you and to receive you and the things that come out of that. There's an amazing thing called love. Love that's inexplicable, that goes beyond measures, and that makes a difference when we speak and we show up in the world. A love that bears your name, and we want that, God. Love is patient, love is kind. It has no arrogance or pride. It seeks the good in others first. It keeps no record of wrong or hurt. It finds no joy in wickedness, but rejoices in the truth. Though it all it will endure. Love will never fail. Love will never, never fail. Love will never, never fail. Love will never, never fail. Love will never fail. Though all prophecy will cease, though all knowledge it will fade, oh, an end will come to speech. Even death will pass away. We will see you face to face, and your mercy will prevail.
sing. Did you know that over the last couple of weeks, our children, our Westwinds kids, have been collecting food for a food drive, and they collected 430 items of food that they have distributed to the. And they did all the work, man. They sorted them. They checked the dates, just to make sure you all checked, and they had a lot of fun doing it. But we're excited that our kids are not just part of our community here, but they're part of our community. And we want to follow up and be like our kids, right? We all want to grow up and be like our kids. Isn't that what Jesus said, to be like a child? Well, the first and third Wednesday of each month, there's a group that gets together called the Westwinds Justice Task Force. And we do a lot of stuff, don't we? We have been doing research because we want to be connected to the ministries and the parachurch organizations and the agencies that are doing good things for people, to show what we believe Jesus called us to give a cup of cold water, to be the face of Christ to people who are hurting. And so we're looking at partnerships and things like that. One of the things you may not know, because if you don't get here on time, you don't see some of the announcements up here on these screens, but the Justice Task Force also works with and oversees the visitation for hospital ministry in our church. Did you know that? That if you're in the hospital or you know someone who's going to be in the hospital, you can email care@westwinds.org and find out how they can be visited. And we have a group of really committed people, really passionate people who will visit, and not just hospitalizations, but maybe you have a friend in a care home. We have one person in a care home who gets a weekly visit from members of our hospitalization ministry. So, or even someone who is non-mobile, and especially with this time of year when it's dark soon and cold, they can't get out. We would love to go and have prayer or just sit and visit with someone. So that's one of the things we do. But one of the most important things we're doing is partnerships. You know that this church has partnered for a long time with two individuals who are working in India, Suresh and Thanglal. And we are also looking at partnerships locally, and we're excited about a new partnership that is new, not new. You may have heard of, I'm sure many of you have heard of an organization called Together We Can Make a Difference. In fact, wasn't Westwinds involved with getting that ministry first planted?
Yes, it was. Wendy White had a passion. She had a feeling that she needed to do more for her community, and she asked Westwinds to support her. And the first 10 years of her 20 years that she's been doing this, Westwinds was there right along with her, helping her financially.
Well, Cheryl's been our liaison with this new partnership, like I say, renewed partnership. And you told me a while back that Wendy even says that if it wasn't for Westwinds, that ministry wouldn't be there.
She may not, yeah.
So we're very excited about partnering again. And out in the lobby, there's a lot of information about this ministry. One of the things that, if you've seen a container out there with empty laundry bottles in, that's because one of the ministries that Together We Can Make a Difference is called Laundry Angels. They make their own laundry detergent and need something to put it in. They help people who don't have access to clothes washers or anything like that. And it's an amazing ministry that helps bring dignity and joy to a lot of people. But the ministry we're talking about that you've been liaisoning about is called?
The Priceless Gifts and Toy Store.
Some of you heard of that, Priceless Gifts Toy Store? It's a seasonal thing. It's around Christmas. Tell us about that.
She started this to help out families to have a better Christmas that may not possibly be able to do that. And she was also Citizen of the Year one year in Jackson because of this work that she does. And so she sets up an area, and right now it's at the Westwood Mall. And she's collecting used toys, new toys, toiletries, and they prepare them. They stock it up just like a store so that the parents may go in and shop for items for their children for Christmas. And the biggest and best thing is they walk out without having to pay a dime.
And you were telling me that this is just the numbers. What were the numbers last year of children they served with gifts?
The last couple of years, it's been over 4,000 children.
Is that awesome? I mean, You know, we believe it's justice when the hungry are fed and when the ill-clothed are clothed and all that, but we also think it's justice that every kid ought to have a good toy for Christmas, right?
Yes.
Well, we asked Wendy, or Cheryl has been saying, what can we do specifically? You know, people can go to the Westwood Mall and donate toys and things like that, so be sure and do that. But is there something we could specifically do? And she said, yes, there's something I need that Westwinds can help us with.
Coats. She's looking for
You
coats.
just were afraid that she was getting cold up here, and I
Nope, I looked in my closet this morning, and I have coats that hang there. I have a favorite coat, and that's usually what I wear. So I decided I love this coat, but I know there's somebody that can use it much more needed than I need it. So I'm going to donate this coat, and we're hoping that you will help us donate by donating coats used, gently used, for children through adult sizes, because not all children are small children. And she's hoping to have a coat for every child that they serve.
Yeah. So what we're going to do over the next 3 Sundays, and we can't string it out because we're getting close to when they're going to be set up to distribute. So for the next 3 Sundays, when you come, right outside these doors, there's a section over there where the kids were doing the food collection. That's where it's going to be. Bring coats. Don't bring a coat that you were going to throw away because it's all ratty. Bring a coat that he said, man, this is a really nice coat, but I'm not wearing it, and someone could really use it. I think he even said they'll do minor repairs, right?
She said if you have a coat that's in great shape, but the zipper's broken, they have ladies there that will fix them. So don't be afraid to bring one with a broken zipper. They'll take care of it.
And if you have any questions after the service, Cheryl will be back at the yellow chairs out in the lobby, and she can answer any questions about this or other things that the Justice Task Force does. Part of our partnership with Together We Can Make a Difference is going to be a financial partnership. You'll be hearing more about that, but we're going to commit to help them over the next 3 years financially, and this is because of how you've given. This is because you gave and got our facility paid off so that we can do things like this. And that's why. That's one of the reasons why. So that's something that Pastor Cory will be telling you more about. But your normal weekly giving is part of the ministry here, and expandingly the ministry in our community. So whether you give online at westwinds.org/give, or whether you use the receptacles in the back of this room and in the lobby, however you want to give. Maybe you give regularly, and this is something I just need to remind you of how God is using your money. Maybe you've been thinking about it, and it's kind of a first-time thing. So whatever we want you to give, the scripture says, give as unto the Lord, and give as freely and joyfully as you can when you can, all right? Thank you very much, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Appreciate all you do.
Glad I can help.
Problems of today lead them to conclude that for them life is not the way. But every problem has an answer. If yours cannot be found, you should talk it over with him. He'll give you peace of mind. If you feel that life's too hard, just go have a talk with God. Feel we walk alone without a friend, never communicating with the one who lives within. Forget about all the one who never lets you down. You can talk it over with him anytime, he's always around. If you feel that life's too hard, just go have a talk with God. Psychiatrist that's known throughout the world. solving the problems of all men, women, little boys and girls. When you feel your life's too hard, just go have a talk with God. When you feel your life's too hard, just go have a talk with God. When your load's too much to bear, let's go talk to God, He cares. When you feel your life's too hard, just go have a talk with God.
Well, I love daylight savings time for a few reasons. One, it's like some of our best Sunday attended churches. You know, like people show up and everyone got an extra hour of sleep. Anyone just realize right now that you got an extra hour of sleep? Okay, just a couple. Okay, that's good. And I also love the plethora of share memes, right? If I could turn back time, right? It's my favorite. It's so good. It's so good. My name is Pastor Cory. I am the pastor here. I know you're shocked. I'm not a comedian they brought in today to share. There's been a lot of new people around our community of late. And so we started doing these gatherings that we call new-ish gatherings, because being new is not about like how long you've been here. Being new is almost like a feeling, like, man, I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on and I don't really know, and I have some questions. I'd love to meet some people or take some steps. And so we started these gatherings called newish gatherings. We do them about once a month, and they've been very well attended. And so we're going to do one again today after our second service. So what that means for you is you could stick around and do this all again. You could go and grab a cup of coffee and come back after the second service. But if you'd like to be a part of that, it's just a time that we gather together in the room just off of the lobby out here. I'll be there and some other leaders in our community. And we just have a conversation and answer questions. And the vibe of the meeting is really generated by the people who show up. So it's really chill. And there'll be food, okay? There's food involved, so we won't leave you hungry. Today we're going to talk about prayer. And I just want to kind of be explicit that my goal today is maybe to liberate some of us around this idea of prayer. I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone say to me, I'm just not good at praying. I'm just not good at praying. As if prayer has some sort of scale where you are good and not good at praying. I think sometimes prayer can feel like it's for someone else, or prayer can feel like, well, not in this season, right? I can't pray right now because, and my hope is as we share today, we can see how prayer can become a part of our just regular life, no matter what is happening in life. For me, prayer is any practice that acknowledges or gives attention to God. Okay, so prayer is any kind of practice that acknowledges or gives attention to God. And I think this is really unique in this season of life, because attention is the scarcity of our time. Do you know that like folks who create social media sites, people who work on the internet, often the language that is used and what their job is, what they're trying to do is called attention mining. Attention mining. This is the world we live in today, that everything is after your attention. So while I think prayer is this ancient practice that has served people for thousands of years, I think it has a unique place in our time today as we have this attention that is constantly being given and being attracted to other things. Now, prayer, we pray together in our community in a lot of different ways. There are folks who gather here on Thursday nights and pray. They meet in the prayer room and they pray together for our church, which is open to anybody who would like to be a part of that. A few months back, there was actually a group of people in our church who got together and told their stories through art, which to me is a form of prayer, right? Through using the medium of art to express what is happening in their life and give attention to God. There's a someone in our community who walks neighborhoods with people in the community, praying for God's flourishing in those neighborhoods. On Tuesdays, there's a group of staff on Tuesday mornings who get together and pray for different needs that are in our community. And there's actually a way that you can share if you've got a need in your community that you would like people to be praying for that we'll share with people who pray. Westwinds.org/pray is a place that you could go at any time and say, man, I would love it if people in our community could be praying for me about this. And you can even say, like, I'd like this to be kept confidential with just some of the pastors, or I'd like to have this shared with a lot of people who are praying during this time. And then right now, we've been in this practice over the last few weeks that we've been calling let me get this straight, learnneedteachgive.com. All right, so you go to learnneedteachgive.com. You can be led through a practice where you can consider and reflect on some of the abundance that God has given in your life, and reflect on maybe some of the needs or the scarcity you're experiencing in your life, and share those things. And then you'll notice at the back of the auditorium today, there's these TVs that are scrolling those needs and those abundances and those scarcities. So you could actually stand back there at the end of a gathering and behold some of the needs and scarcities and abundances that are happening in our community right now. And I think that's prayer. We're giving attention to God around the things in our life that are abundant and the things in our life that are scarce. I want to talk about prayer and a few different modalities for us today, and maybe show us the ways it shows up in our life and how these different modalities of prayer have shown up throughout church history, throughout God's past. I'm going to use the word words, and I need you to forgive me because English is limited, okay? So when I say words, I don't necessarily mean words that you speak. They might be words you speak, but sometimes in prayer, we don't have words that quite even get to the things we need to say. The scriptures often sometimes even talk about like groanings of prayer, like these sometimes the needs in our life or the things we might want to bring to attention to God go beyond words. But for the sake of the teaching, I'm going to use the word words, a kind of this really broad view of words, right? And I think sometimes prayer are words at God. Sometimes prayer are words at God. When my son Charlie was born 10 years ago, he's our oldest, he was our first, and we were like so excited. We were living in South Dakota at the time, and we were at this hospital, and my son is born, and it was just like the most amazing experience of my life up to that point. And, all the top circumstance of it all. And I remember, like, after a long, process, I went for a walk. I was like, okay, I just need to, go for a walk and find a different bathroom and just change the scenery for a minute. And I was coming back to our room after my son was born, and I'm watching these nurses really quickly roll my son out of the room. And I'm like, where are they taking my kid? I come into the room, and my wife is in tears, and she's like, he's not breathing right. And they rushed him over to NICU. And can I tell you, I would like to say that my prayers in those moments were full of faith, that I had really nice things to say to God. But I was at a point where I was praying at God, that my prayers sounded a lot more like, God, I swear to God. Like, if you don't, I'm not. That my prayers sounded a lot more like threats to God. Like, you better. I swear, God, if you don't. This year, I walked closely with a mother in our church who was losing her son. And I specifically remember a few times. One time walking around a parking lot, praying with her. And can I tell you that those prayers early on were a lot more like words at God. Your pastor said some swears in those prayers. God, how could this be so? God, I swear if you don't intervene, right? Those prayers were at God. It was 2020 in the middle of a pandemic, and my wife and I had given our life, blood, sweat, tears, and years to getting a church started in Portland, Oregon. They say it's the hardest city in America to plant a church in. And as the pandemic hit, we were watching as our church was slowly crumbling. And my prayers early on in that moment were angry prayers. I was so mad at God. Everything we had given to get this thing started and just watching it crumble away. And my prayers were directed very directly at God with some choice words. And I think sometimes we think like this kind of prayer is somehow like not worthy or unholy. And can I just say, like going all the way back to the book of Psalms, people have prayed prayers that are at God, that are this honest, that come directly to God, that the things that are really just telling the truth about what's going on inside of your heart. Psalm 109 is one of those examples. Psalm 109 says, God of my praise, don't keep quiet, because the mouths of wicked liars have opened up against me, talking about me with lying tongues. Hateful words surround me. They attack me for no reason. Instead of returning my love, they accuse me, but I am at prayer. Now, this next part of this prayer gets pretty aggressive. I mean, the anger in this prayer towards people coming at the author of this prayer. Listen to this. Let his days be few. Let someone else assume his position. Let his children become orphans. Let his wife turn into a widow. Let his children wander aimlessly, begging, driven out of their ruined homes. Let a creditor seize everything he owns. Let strangers plunder his wealth. Let no one extend faithful love to him. Let no one have mercy on his orphans. Let his descendants be eliminated. Let their names be wiped out in just one generation. Let his father's wrongdoing be remembered before the Lord. Let his mother's sin never be wiped out. Let them be before the Lord always, and let God eliminate the very memory of them from the land. Folks, this prayer is in the Bible. Like it's real. These Psalms have guided God's people in prayer for thousands of years. And if you've got words you got to say at God, this is the incredible gift of prayer. There is no other relationship in your life where you can speak this honestly and face no retribution. I am so thankful for a God who listens to my prayers at him. Now, sometimes then, prayer are words to God, right? Sometimes prayers are words to God. I remember driving home from the hospital without Charlie. That's not how I imagined it, right? I remember leaving the hospital and driving home, leaving my son in the NICU. And after, nights and days of prayers and words at God, I began to need some faith, to long for wisdom. I began to be able to speak to some of my deeper wants and desires as a father. My prayers actually got a little bit more dynamic. I could start asking God, like, how do I do this? Like, how do I be a dad when my kid is at the hospital? How do I be a husband with my wife as we drive home without this kid that we so long for? These prayers began to just show a little bit more dynamic and longing for faith and desire in my heart. I remember in the midst of the pandemic, and as my wife and I were grieving this loss of our church, and there was one night, my wife looks at me and says to me, I think I want to move home. See, she's from Michigan. I think I want to move home. Our prayers eventually began to go, okay, right? What might God be doing here? What might need to shift and change in our life? Psalm 143 is a beautiful example of praying to God. Listen to my prayer, the psalmist writes. Lord, because of your faithfulness, hear my request for mercy. Because of your righteousness, answer me. Please don't bring your servant to judgment, because no living thing is righteous before you. The enemy is chasing me, crushing my life in the dirt, forcing me to live in the dark like those who have been dead forever. So this prayer opens up saying, I got some real stuff going on, right? Life is getting real. But this is what the psalmist goes on to pray. My spirit is weak inside of me. Inside, my mind is numb. But I remember the days long past. I meditate on all your deeds. I contemplate your handiwork. I stretch out my hands to you. My whole being is like dry dirt, thirsting for you. And then the prayer says, Selah. Selah is this word that the psalmist would write that was like breathe, rest, listen. See, I'm thankful for a God who listens to our prayers, but also a God who hears our prayers. I mean, have you ever had somebody listen to you, but you know they're not hearing you? Prayer is this place where we can have faith that God listens to us and say the things we need to say. But then we can also find a modality of prayer where God begins to hear us and we can rest and wait and calm down a little bit and be in a state of Selah, Selah. And then there's a modality of prayer where we can begin to hear words from God. This one sometimes can feel distant or for other people because I think words, again, fall short. I don't know very many people. I've heard some people testify to like hearing audible words from God. I don't know very many people. I've never heard audible words from God, like, this is God speaking, right? I've never experienced that. But there's definitely been a lot of moments in my life that in prayer I've felt a new sense of direction. Maybe an affirmation from God, a sense of safety, or even a new sense of clarity, where I've been wrestling in prayer with words at God and words to God. And then sometimes in prayer there's this space where something just kind of breaks, where these words or this direction from God. Listen to the psalmist in Psalm 34 exclaim this: I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise will always be on my mouth. Praise the Lord. Listen, let the suffering listen and rejoice. I mean, listen to as the psalmist is beginning to invite God to speak into the psalmist's own suffering, right? Let the suffering listen and rejoice. Magnify the Lord with me. Together let us lift his name up high. I sought the Lord and he answered me. But get this next line. He delivered me from all my fears. I think this is such a testament to how often this works in prayer. That sometimes what we want is for God to change our situation. That sometimes what we want is for God to answer in a really specific way. But so often as we move and live in this space of prayer, when we're free and liberated to say words at God and begin to speak to God and begin to be open to what God might say to us or what God might liberate in our life, the experience often is a deliverance of the fears or the anxieties that we hold. That it actually, as the old psalm used to say, give us strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. It's not necessarily a deliverance of the situation we're in. There's a fly. But God begins to move us and change us in a place of prayer so we might face what's in front of us in our actual, real lives. The point is that often in prayer we can work out like it's not about whatever has happened or is happening, but that there's this hope that we're not alone, that the presence of God is with us. And whatever fear we face, whatever we're up against, that we can face it with God and words from God. Which I think leads me to this last spot of prayer, this modality of learning and being with God. I remember after months of praying with this mother, and then there was a day at her house, sitting around her table planning a funeral. And it was these incredible moments. It was like God was at the table with us. And then there was officiating this funeral, really difficult funeral. But everyone who was there could sense the presence of God with us in these moments. That we had words at God, we had words to God, we had moments where there was words from God, where there's some clarity. But then we found ourselves in this place, so thankful for this presence of God with us in some of these most difficult moments. Can I say that, like, when I became a parent, I didn't read any books on parenting. I know you're supposed to. I just didn't, all right? But it's amazing over the last decade, I can look back to all kinds of moments where I had no idea what to do. But you can look and see the ways in which God was with me as a father and helping me to move through complicated, nuanced life. And can I also say that over the last 2.5 years, not quite 2.5, a little over 2 years, I've learned to be your pastor. This is not something that they write a manual on, how to be a pastor at this unicorn of a church in Jackson, Michigan. There's no book on that. I'd never done this before. You know, I've never been a lead pastor of a church that's brick and mortar that meets like this. But over the last 2 years, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, yeah, there's been some words, but God has been with me the whole way. And there's this power and this peace in knowing that God is with us, never leaving us or forsaking us, that we can discover as a mode or state of being. Psalm 139, I think, is one of the most beautiful prayers in all of Scripture. I'd like to read it for us today. It's a little bit lengthy, but it's brilliantly beautiful. And I think invites us into this space of opening ourselves up to this God who is present with us in all things. Lord, you have examined me. You know me. You know when I sit down and when I stand up. Even from far away, you comprehend my plans. You study my traveling and resting. You are thoroughly familiar with all of my ways. There isn't a word on my tongue, Lord, that you don't already know completely. You surround me front and back. You put your hand on me. That kind of knowledge is too much for me. It's so high above me that I can't reach it. Where could I go to get away from your spirit? Where could I escape your presence? If I went up to heaven, you would be there. If I went down to the grave, you would be there too. If I could fly on wings of dawn, stopping to rest only on the far side of the ocean, even there your hand would guide me. Even there your strong hand would hold me tight. If I said the darkness will definitely hide me, the light will become night around me, even then the darkness isn't too dark for you. Nighttime would shine bright as day because the darkness is the same as light to you. You are the one who created my innermost parts. You knit me together while I was still in my mother's womb. I give thanks to you that I was marvelously set apart. Your works are wonderful. I know that very well. My bones weren't hidden from you when I was being put together in a secret place, when I was being woven together in the deep parts of the earth. Your eyes saw my embryo, and on your scroll every day was written that it was being formed for me. Before any one of them had yet happened. God, your plans are incomprehensible to me. Their total number is countless. If I tried to count them, they outnumber the grains of sand. If I came to the very end, I'd still be with you. I actually really love this next part of the prayer because the author gets honest about his situation. We actually begin in the midst of this prayer all about the presence of God to watch him dip back into these modes of prayer. Listen, if only God, you would kill the wicked. If only murderers would get away from me, the people who talk about you but only wicked schemes, the people who are your enemies, who use your name as if it were of no significance. Don't I hate everyone who hates you? Don't I despise those who attack you? Yes, I hate them through and through. They've become my enemies too. You hear this honesty coming out of his heart in the presence of God? And then the prayer closes with this exclamation of safety before God. Examine me, God. Look at my heart. Put me to the test. Know my anxious thoughts. Look to see if there's any idolatrous way in me. Then lead me on the eternal path. My friends, I think this is so important for us. And I don't know kind of how prayer has come across to you. But I grew up kind of understanding prayer as like words at God. Like that's just for people who aren't really Christians. Like that's just for people who haven't matured in their faith enough. That people who pray like this, it's because they don't understand who God is. Or they don't have enough faith for God in their life. Can I just say there's thousands of years calling BS on that? That God's people have been praying at God in the most difficult seasons of their life for thousands of years. The invitation to say words at God is wide open in prayer. But then it was like, but if you could get past that point, then maybe you could say words to God. Oh man, how I would love to be able to pray like that person. When they pray, their words are so elegant and the faith they have is so evident. Man, I want to pray like them. Forget that. That's BS too. God invites us to say words to God, to build our faith in the actual kinds of words that we would use in real life. And then there's like this, sometimes this like deeper place of God. There's like, the people who hear from God and the people who don't. Let me just call BS one more time. There is no elevated person who gets to hear from God more than somebody else. You actually might hear from God in ways that these other people don't hear from God. There's not like a way to hear from God and a way not to hear from God. Some people hear from God in reflection. Some people hear from God by looking at the stars. Some people hear from God from going on long walks around their neighborhood. Some people hear from God in the midst of their honesty and their pain. Some people hear from God like it's a sense inside of you. Some people hear from God from reading the scriptures. There are so many different ways that people hear from God, and they're available to you in some way as you begin to open yourself up to this modality. But the truth is that as we live in these places of prayer, what we eventually hopefully come to realize is that God has been with us all along. That God wasn't absent in your hardest moments when you had some stuff to say. That God wasn't absent when your faith seemed so small. That God wasn't absent when you were so longing for some kind of hope for the future. But God is with us always, always, always. And my hope, friends, is that Westwinds Church, I don't mean the brand Westwinds Church, but the people of Westwinds Church, that we would be a people of prayer, that we would be a people who pray, that one of the things that marks us as a community is that we've grown in this practice of prayer together in real time, in the midst of our actual lives. That there's this gift of prayer, I think, to us as individuals, I'll give you that. But I think there's another space, right, where we can begin to be able to say words at God with others. We can begin to say words to God with others. We can hear words from God with others, right? And we can spend time being with God with others. That there is this space, this place that you can exist as a community where we can actually begin to have enough faith in this kind of prayer that I can walk around a parking lot and swear at God on someone else's behalf. Because I'm that mad about it. I'm that frustrated about the things that I don't understand in this world that are deeply affecting my sister in Christ right now. That there's these moments in prayer where we can sit with each other when we're longing for faith and begin to pray together in ways that like, I don't know what we're going to do here, God. I don't know how we're going to move forward here, God. God, we're going to need some faith. I'm going to need you to help begin to build faith in us as a community. That there are moments in your life as a church where you can hear from God, that God might even change the direction of our church someday, might give us a birth for a new mission or a new idea or a new way of being, a new way of proclaiming God's love in the community we live in. And we can do that not as some pastor in an office with the door shut, but we can do that collectively. That God might speak to you about a piece, and you about another piece, and you about another piece, and you about another piece. And until we can enter spaces and pray together, we may never know the ways God is speaking and putting together this beautiful puzzle, this beautiful picture called Westwinds Church. And certainly, if we have these experiences together as we live in this place of prayer, would any of us doubt that God is with us? I don't think so. I don't think so. I want to close with a New Testament passage of Scripture found in 1 Corinthians. It's probably my, second or third favorite poem in the New Testament. It's a poem that we often hear at weddings. I'm just going to tell you this poem is not about a monogamous relationship between two human beings. The poem is actually about God. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 says, if I speak in tongues of human beings and angels, but I don't have love, I'm a clanging gong, a clashing cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and I know all the mysteries and everything else, and if I have such complete faith that I can move mountains, but I don't have love, I'm nothing. If I give away everything I have and hand over my body and feel good about what I've done, but I don't have love, I've received no benefit whatsoever. The poem here is doing what a lot of actually New Testament poems do, is they talk about this love, and I'll give you a little secret. You can replace the word love with God. That's what the community at the time is doing, is they would have sung these poems together and prayed these prayers together. They're talking about God. It's a poetic way of talking about the presence of God being perfect love. Here's the part you may have heard before. Love is patient, love is kind. It isn't jealous, doesn't brag, isn't arrogant, isn't rude. It doesn't seek its own advantage, it isn't irritable, it doesn't keep a record of my complaints. It isn't happy with injustice, but it's happy with the truth. Love puts up with all things, trusts in all things, hopes for all things, endures all things. Love never fails. God is patient, God is kind. God isn't jealous, God doesn't brag. God isn't arrogant, God isn't rude. God doesn't seek God's own advantage. God isn't irritable. God doesn't keep a record of complaints. God isn't happy with injustice, but is happy with the truth. God puts up with all things. God trusts in all things. God hopes for all things. God endures all things. God never fails. Let's pray together.
I open up to you. This love that makes me new. Oh, may my heart receive this love that carries me.
This week, as we were talking about this service, Cory used a word that really stuck with me, that prayer is an invitation. I like that. Prayer is not our responsibility or our burden to bear. It's an invitation. So we're going to just take up God on his invitation to us. Next few moments, we're just going to kind of make this room our prayer room. We'll keep it rather quiet. And if you'd like to stay and just where you're seated, pray in your own way, whether you need to talk to or with God. Also, if you're going to visit with others, go ahead and go on out in the lobby. But remember, that's a form of prayer too, because we get to see the face of Christ in each other, don't we? And if you'd like to pray very alone, or you'd like maybe a person to pray with you, we have a prayer room. You go out these doors, and on the other side of the main entrance, there's a room right there, and you can feel free to go there as well. So whether you're in the prayer room or you're praying by seeing God in the lobby, or whether you're quietly here, let's just accept his invitation. I'm going to stick around here. If you'd like someone to pray with you, I'd be happy to do that.
My heart is open wide. I will receive your light. You give me faith like a child. In you my heart runs wild. Love will never, never fail. Love will never, never fail. Love will never, never fail. Love will never fail. More than words, more than good ideas, I found your love in the open fields. More than words, more than good ideas, I found your love in the open fields. More than words, more than good ideas, I found your love in the open fields. More than words, more than good ideas, I found your love in the open fields. And love will never, never fail. Love will never, never fail. Love will never, never fail. Love will never fail. And